So one thing that I want to go over with you guys, this is before you hit the ball. This is your pre-swing setup, okay? And I'm going to show you a routine that I do, and you guys are welcome to try it, and I'll explain to you why I do it and what it does for me. And basically, what I do is I always start behind the ball. First of all, I visualize the shot. I usually make at least one practice swing. Doesn't even have to be a full swing. Sometimes I just do a couple little swings like that. Just it lets me loosen up. But my routine, I simply start with the club up here. Okay. I extend my arms. I get in this position here. Okay. So the toe is up. The toe is up in the air. It's nice and square. And I simply step in with my right leg. And then from there, I bend from my hips. And simply all I'm doing is taking the club down. So from here, I step in. And I go down. And then I'll move around a little bit. And the reason why I do that is it puts me in a pretty good posture and setup position. And the club face is always square. How many times have we seen people put the club down and they start re-gripping and closing the club face, and then they take it back and it's hooded or closed, right? So I always start here. I know it's square, and all I simply have to do is go like this. So again, I go like this. I bend from my hips. Move around and get comfortable, and then I'm in a pretty good setup position. So if you're someone that struggles with sitting up and you don't know if you're lined up correctly, you might give this a try. This will definitely put you in good posture, keep the club face square, and not create too much tension. Okay? And if you do it the same every time, it becomes easier and easier, especially when playing under pressure. Okay? We've all played under pressure, right? Okay, so again, it just looks like this. I'll hit one and go through my entire routine just so you guys can see. But first it would start with my glove on. Okay, so I'm going to I'll just go at the 150-yard sign over there. Okay, so I'm visualizing my shot, looking behind the ball. Take my practice swing. Felt pretty good. And now it's time for my routine. And that's pretty much my routine. I do that every time, from a little chip shot to a full swing. And the reason why I do it is it puts me in a good posture. I know the club face is square, and I don't have to worry about any of those things. How many of you get over the ball and you're worrying? You go through your checklist. Does that look familiar? And you start fidgeting and the club face moves. Well, you know, if you start here and you close the club face, you're doomed from the start. So that's why I do that routine. You know, I'd recommend you guys try it. It'll help you keep the club face square. It'll put you in a pretty good posture. You know, like especially Glenn. Glenn has a tendency to kind of hunch over a little bit more of this setup. So if Glenn were to do that, he would start getting into a little bit better posture, which would enable you to turn a little bit better. Okay? Any questions about that? You know, the main thing I think that you guys would take out of this is that before you hit the ball is that you're doing some kind of a routine. I showed you mine. A lot of pros do this. Adam Scott likes to always start with the left hand on there. He always grips it from the side like this, if you notice. He always come in there like that. He always wants to feel that left side. A lot of guys, and you probably notice this, will step in like this. Right leg, and they address the ball like that. So, you know, you make sure you do a routine. I showed you mine and why, and at least give it a try. If you don't like it, develop a routine that you can do consistently. That'll kind of put you into those positions. Now, Rich, what routine do you do, if any?
I do a practice swing.
Okay, practice swing.
Then I stand over the ball, but I tend to...
Okay, so you do a practice swing, and then you go right up to the ball and just stand over it.
Stand over and get myself where I'm comfortable. And I have to concentrate with myself to come up slow, come through the ball slow. Because I tend to, if I swing too fast going up, I tend to slow down coming down, or I come too fast and I lift my body up.
Okay.
And it's all over the place.
But specifically, your pre-swing, meaning your
I do a practice swing, and that's usually really good.
So you just do a practice swing, and then do you put the club down? Do you fidget around a little bit?
No,
or
I don't fidget.
Just put the club down and you sit there for a few seconds?
Yeah, my other biggest problem is my alignment. Sometimes sometimes I'll hit and wonder why it's going over there. Well, then I look at my feet, and my feet are like this.
Let's touch on that real quick. Alignment. What are we looking for in alignment? Does anybody know? How do you guys set up to the ball? How do you know where you're hitting it? Anybody? John? Come on over, John.
I don't, I never had taken a practice swing.
Okay.
What I do,
Here, come on over.
I look at my target,
Okay.
and then I line up the ball, and then I try to find something close.
Good. So he picks out an intermediate target. He finds something a couple feet in front of him.
If I want to hit it 100 yards,
Uh-huh.
I find something like maybe 20 yards out
Maybe
there.
like here, something in front that you can line it up. That's good. That's excellent.
And when it hits, I'll go up and then I'll hit the ball. But I've never got into the practice of taking a practice swing. I don't know why. It
Well,
just feels obvious.
At least if you don't want to do a practice swing, at least go through a routine.
But that's
Which kind of what you're doing. You're picking out a target and lining that up, and then you go.
Yeah, that's 75.
It went pretty straight. Well, what I would tell you guys is to make sure that the club face points at where you want the ball to go, and your feet where you want the ball to start. So it's really important that you get the club face to where you want the ball to go. So if I'm hitting a big draw, and I'm going to the 150, my club face is pointing there, but my feet are starting here where I want the ball to start. And then I'm going to swing along my foot line. So same thing with the fade. If I was going to hit to the 150, my stance would be open, I'm going to swing more out. Okay? Very similar to a bunker shot. But like I said, I would at least give that routine a try. If not, develop your own. You can use some of what I showed you and combine your own. You know, I've seen guys go like this. They put the club down, they get behind it, and they make sure that's fine as long as you're doing the same routine. You know, I showed you mine. A lot of pros will do something to what I'm doing. A lot of them will step in with the right leg and kind of put the club down. Because we want this to be firm. We don't want this to be wobbly or loose. We want to really get this right leg braced. Okay? Good. So any questions about the pre-swing setup, what we do before we hit our shot? Good. Okay. So Glenn, I want you to come on over here, and I want you to give that routine a try. Okay? So you don't need to hit a golf ball, but I want you just to go through that routine. So it starts from behind the ball. Starts from behind the ball. Yeah, behind the ball. Visualize the shot. So get back here, Glenn. Get back here. You're looking at the shot. Okay. It's going to hit a nice straight shot on this one, I have a feeling. Okay, good. Relaxing, taking a practice swing. Okay, good. So you're ready to go through your routine. Good. Yes, step. So Glenn, try that again. Keep the club up here until you step in with the right leg, and then after you step in, as you start to bend down, the club will go down with you. Good. So did everyone notice the club face stayed square? It didn't move at all. Okay. Well, fell back a little bit, but good. Try that routine again. You don't need to hit a ball right now, Glenn. Just go ahead and go through that routine. Okay. Keep the club up here again. Start over. Club up. Okay. So here's the club face is square. Did anyone notice Glenn has a tendency to set up closed at address? So that's going to help him start setting up a little more square. This is square. The toe of the club is up. That would be closed. That would be open. Okay? So once you start to bend down, then you'll take the club down. Anyone notice his posture is a little better too? He's not as hunched over. He's a little more athletic. Looks more like a golfer now. Minus our fallback. Okay, well, good try. So let's have Rich jump in there and try the routine out. You don't need to hit the ball. Just go through the routine. Okay, Rich, come on down. Our next student. Okay, so let's go ahead and give that routine a try. Start a little higher up with the club. A little bit higher up. Who asked about the pressure, how we're supposed to hold the club? Who is that? You did. Okay. So, also the other thing that when I start up here, I feel the pressure in these two fingers and the last two because of the way I'm holding it, and I'm starting up here. Okay? see that there? I'm going to take the fingers off. That's where the pressure needs to be. So when I start from up here, that's what I feel. I feel the pressure right in those.
On this hand, you're feeling the pressure right here.
Yeah, feeling it in these two fingers and then the last two fingers of the left. That's the first thing I usually look at when someone's casting is how they're that left hand. Because if you feel like the pressure's more up here, you're going to get more of this action. If I'm holding it like this, I'm always going to be this. I'm not going to be able to cast. Okay, good. Good. So he's nice and square there. Let's take a look at his posture. Yeah, nice posture there. That look different? Feel different, Rich?
It felt a lot better when I normally.
So, let's have Mike try it.
Yeah.
Mike, jump in there and try it.
It felt better.
You have a reference now of how to set up, and you know when the club face is square. You know, Glenn has a tendency just to go like that. So now Glenn knows the club face is square up here, and he just has to go down. He doesn't have to manipulate the club or turn or do anything different. Okay, it starts from behind it. Good. Just step in with the right leg. Very nice. Very nice. There's our A player. Okay. So any questions on that routine? No questions on that? So if you don't like my routine, you could do a variation of it and maybe include a couple things that I showed you, but develop a routine that you can do. The one I was taught by a pro to do that. When I first started learning, a lot of pros will play that way and do a similar routine.
Feels comfortable.
Yes. Even if they don't do everything that I showed you, you're going to see them, almost all of them, step in with the right leg and address the ball from behind. You're always going to see that. You're not going to. I don't think I've ever seen a guy that steps in like this and puts the club down and then goes like that. He's always going to step in with the right first. We want to keep this firmly planted. That's one of the reasons why I do this. And again, when I hold it up here, I feel the pressure in those fingers that we talked about. Versus if I just grab the club here. Pressure could be more in the thumbs and different parts of the hand.
Where the skin.
Yeah, again, this is where we want the pressure. I'm going to take my fingers off, but this is really all that's holding the club. You guys can kind of see that. That's really all that's holding the club. Okay. So my fingers are off there. That's where the pressure is.
Okay, so that would reduce the casting if I have the pressure on these two.
That would be one of the things that I would probably do with you is to firm up this a little bit, try to get that a little firmer. I wouldn't mind if you felt a little pressure in there, because you're always going to be feeling that versus. Okay. Any other questions on the routine, the pre-swing?
I want to know if there's a.
Here, come on over, Glenn. Get in the camera.
If there's a tree 20, 30 feet ahead of you, with the greens on the right side,
Okay.
how do you hit a shot around that tree towards the green?
So you're talking about hitting a fade.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, based on what we went over today in our lesson, how do you think you would do that?
Well, you want to go left, right, swing out and in.
Correct. Remember the club face? You point at where you want the ball to end up or go.
Yeah.
Your feet is where you want the ball to start. So if you're trying to hit it around a tree, let's say the tree is this first flag here, I have to aim my feet left over here and go around it. Then I'm going to point the club face at wherever it's going to end up. So, and then from there, I swing the club on my foot line. So if I'm this far open, the club's going to come back more out. If I'm trying to hit a draw, I'm going to swing it back more in to out. Does that make sense? Okay. Good. Good. Any other questions? Okay. Good. Good. All right.